All right. Hello, everyone. Hope you are all doing well, and welcome back to the Brawn and Brains podcast with me, Kev Gomez, and Ben Stanners. Obviously, we kind of took last week off, so this is going to be a bit of a, what's up episode. Just give you some updates on where we're at. Certainly, some very cool things to come very soon on here. So it was almost just taking a bit of well-deserved time off after pumping out a bunch of episodes, getting a few plans in the pipeline ready to roll out, and we're back and ready to give you some more cool content. So plenty of cool plans to be unveiled very soon. But yeah, how's life, Ben?
Busy. Definitely busy. Obviously, we took last week off, and realistically talking, that we were both pretty busy, and we both still are busy. But life might be busy, but it's full on, and I like that. I like to stay busy. Realistically, we are both currently students, but we're not really students who sort of just necessarily live a true student life. Obviously, I'm a master's student now, so it's a bit different for me anyway. But we both like to keep busy. We both like to always work towards something, and so.
Yeah.
I say we're busy, but being busy is a good thing for us. But obviously last week we were just a bit too busy to have time to record and stuff. So, but we're back now. Hope you haven't missed us. And yeah, this is going to be more a casual episode for sure. But you know what? That's fine as well. You'll get more of an insight into us as people, our training programs, or just our thoughts around training, or our own training, I should say. And it hopefully be entertaining.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, as you said, both students, so plenty going on in that regard, especially now kind of coming towards the end of the year. For me, kind of got a few things due, obviously yourself probably even more so, and carrying on even sort of further. I guess it sort of comes back to that idea of sort of manageable stress, innit? Because obviously we've got a lot on at the moment, and as you said, we both sort of get off on like achieving things and having things to do, but at the same time then also kind of having to sort of prioritize things accordingly so that we are keeping those stress levels manageable and not actually just kind of eating away at ourselves, which I think is an easy trap to fall into when you've got a lot on your plate, sort of almost not having enough time to do everything that you want. So yeah, but we're back now. So as you said, we'll probably use this as a bit of an update. Obviously now, I think this is actually the first episode we've done since gyms have been back open and life's starting to get a bit more normal again. So that's probably the first thing. Obviously we've sort of just been sort of enjoying our time, almost getting back into proper bodybuilding as opposed to just sort of the home workouts. And yeah, that's been a huge hell of a ride on its own, just getting back into things properly. Even more enjoyable than I could have anticipated.
It's gone well as well. It's gone very well.
Yeah, just perfect. We're obviously treating this as a bit more of a neurological phase, probably safe to say at the moment, just trying to kind of drive up our numbers more so than anything, especially sort of in the absence of decent load during lockdown. But we'll kind of go into the sort of nitty gritty of our training, as you said. Give some of our thoughts behind what we do, because I know we've obviously done our first 4 episodes of the education series. Obviously, the first of which was the fundamentals of training, and hopefully, as well as kind of spouting off on sort of the informative content, we can also sort of give you guys a good idea about how we apply the methods that we preach and how we utilize these things in our own training. So I don't know if you maybe want to kind of give thoughts kind of around your physique and how you're sort of tailoring your training around that at the moment, and then we can probably kind of break that down a little further.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So right now, well, actually, let's take it back a little bit. So about 4 weeks or so before the gyms open, both me and Kev took our own advice and did a small little tidy up phase before gyms open. Just do, again, really allow for more time to push back up. But this is where then once gyms open back up, me and Kev slightly differed. So Kev's already put food back up, and again, I'll let you touch on that in a bit. But what I'm doing now is I'm taking a much more casual approach to nutrition. So basically, my focus on nutrition right now is essentially just the focus is on, protein and nutrient density, and that's pretty much it. That's where the focus is at. That's what I'm trying to. I'm not tracking anything. I don't track anything unless I'm in prep anyway, but I'm not tracking anything. I'm just focused on protein and nutrient density. With the idea being one, it's nice sometimes just to be a bit more casual. But the idea being actually what I'm still trying to do is allow for a bit more recomposition to occur, because in this current period, as you said, we're doing more of a neurological phase. And because, again, we haven't had exposure to such heavy weights for a while, pretty much no matter what I do, I'm going to get stronger and body's going to want to recomp. So if I can just take advantage of not pushing the food whilst still being able to get stronger, then from my perspective, it makes sense to just continue to get leaner and stronger at the same time. And it's working very, very well. So I don't see why I would change that at the minute. And, in terms of the casual approach as well, obviously, like I say, focus on protein and on nutrient density, but it's also that approach of, if I, and we certainly have, if I want to have a burger, I'll have a burger, that sort of thing, pretty much the way that I would suggest most lifestyle clients actually do approach their nutrition is, again, have the right focus on the right areas of nutrition. But again, from time to time, if you just want to enjoy something, go ahead and do it and enjoy it. And again, we've arguably had the best burger that we've had ever last week. So yeah, that's pretty much my approach right now. Like I say, it just, to me, just makes sense to allow my body to continue to recomp or get leaner, whilst no matter what, I'm going to get stronger. Now, when things start to stall, when I start to lose some of that rebound, then maybe, I'll look at the physiques app and consider to then push body weight back up and maybe food back up. But for now, like I say, getting leaner, getting a little bit lighter, not that much lighter. It's very, very, very slow. Like, I don't know, it's probably like quarter to half a kilogram per week of weight loss at most. So like weight's barely going down, but a recomp, like I say, is absolutely happening. Strength is shooting back up. To me, that's a perfect world. So for now, I'm just going to keep riding with that until it stalls out. And like I say, more than anything, I guess even from like a quote unquote stress management point of view, because I'm not having to do much thinking about anything, it just takes the stress out of it and really adds the enjoyment back into it. So again, I just don't see why I would change anything about that approach right now. It's working wonderfully.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. I think definitely an appropriate approach for you, all things considered. For myself, obviously, as you said, taking things slightly differently in regards to food and coming out of lockdown. My cut actually went on a little longer, so mine was a little more sort of long term than just sort of a bit of a tidy up phase, and kind of as a result, combined with a few other things, maybe around mid February time, probably around then, I was going through a period of really, really high stress, and actually had to take a bit of time off training and stuff as well. Pretty much just for the stress management side of things, because I was really just burying myself into a big hole, and I really needed to take control of a few things to try and get my sleep back to a decent level, because things were in a really, really shit spot. Unfortunately, sometimes life just does happen. There are a few things which are a bit more out of your control, especially in regards to sort of lockdown related circumstances. But obviously, it's more so about how we sort of respond to those things that happen, and taking the appropriate actions. And mine was kind of various sort of stress management related sort of things to focus on. So part of that was actually just moving back up north, which did wonders on its own, to be fair, in terms of just alleviating a lot of the stress. But basically, what kind of came along with that was, because I was sort of dieting at that point anyway, was due to then sort of laying off the training and food still being a little lower, and stress and then sleep also being a bit poorer, just led to me running very, very flat in terms of physique, which is something I'm prone to anyway, just being someone of a very small build who can lose weight very, very easily. So I was running extremely, extremely flat in terms of my look. Did end up losing like a pretty decent amount of weight. I think I went down from can't remember the exact numbers, but I got down to probably around sort of the 76 mark, which for me is kind of that lean but not shredded sort of state. And then obviously after that session of yours, when we did a bit of posing, it was very evident that I was looking like an absolute twig.
Yeah.
So for me, it was certainly a bit more appropriate to sort of up my food coming out of lockdown, because especially with sort of the training again sort of being a bit more sort of neurological focused. We weren't really going to be doing much sort of pump work at all, so I knew that the training wasn't really going to do much to sort of fill out the physique in that regard. So I knew that food probably would have been my best ally. But sort of going along that sort of same thought process of the recomp being able to occur, my thought process was, well, I know I've probably got a bit of size I can put back on a lot, to really just fill out with. So I know if I do up food in that sort of same regard, that you can probably continue dropping weight and building muscle. I thought I can probably afford to put on a lot of muscle, and just because there's so much sort of fill out with, I can afford to bump up my calories and really not be concerned with sort of any fat gain at all. So similar kind of thoughts in regard to sort of the whole recomping thing, and sort of really reaping the benefits of that sort of rebound phase as we got back to the gym. Just slightly sort of different executions in line with sort of where we were both at. So my food made a nice big jump up, and it took a fair bit of playing around with, actually, because I always do end up just needing a shit ton of food to go anywhere with. So my food's now sitting about the around the 4,000 mark again, which I'm already hating. If there's one thing that I can give to that dieting phase, it just comes so easy to me. Like, I know we've discussed this before and how I just enjoy prep so much because I have the appetite of a little girl. So now 2 weeks back into eating a bit more, and this is already feeling like torture.
Yeah, we're very opposite on that.
Be on 2,000 calories a day and feeling and being skinny in terms of how I feel. Pushing up food's a nightmare.
Yeah, we're very opposite on that front. Obviously, I can eat for literally for days. I can eat put a food challenge in front of me and I will finish it. Yeah, we're very, very opposite. But it's an interesting question, I think. And again, tell us in the comments, what would you prefer? Would you prefer to have the struggles of trying to eat more food, or would you prefer to have the struggles of being hungry? I don't know. I can appreciate that it would be hard to constantly eat more food. I think that might actually take a little. To be honest, it might take a little bit more mental toughness to eat when you really don't want to eat. Yeah, because I guess when you're hungry, there are little tricks you can do to manage hunger. You could have more voluminous food. You could use caffeine, that sort of thing. So I guess there are some tricks you could eat to use to eat more food as well, like picking more nutrient dense foods, so like dried fruit versus normal fruit, things like honey, jam, those sort of, I guess, add-ins which add calories without adding volume. But yeah, as a whole, let us know which you think is worse, I suppose. So yeah,
that's an interesting one, actually, because even on that sort of whole front, there's also kind of an awkward line to draw between sort of pushing up food, but then also not kind of going sort of overboard in regards to just calories for the sake of calories, because then that obviously has sort of a detrimental impact on body composition, which is almost the space that I find myself in now, because obviously with already not being particularly hungry on the food that I'm on, and knowing that I'm probably safe for another few weeks, but knowing that soon enough it'll probably be at a point where I have to push up a little further. It's again that sort of are there more sort of calorie dense options I can go for? Yeah, but do I want to get my fats much higher than they are now? Not particularly.
Exactly.
So yeah, it becomes an awkward line to draw in that regard. But,
it definitely does. Like there are, we both get to a point where we need to add in things like cookies and stuff to manage to get the calories in. But obviously, by doing that, you're also increasing significantly the amount of fat you get into that. It's not even quote unquote good quality fat either, so that's not ideal from a health perspective. But from a body composition perspective, I'm pretty sure we have discussed this before. I think it might be in a nutrition podcast. I think so. That like we said, fat is more easily stored as body fat. So from a really nuanced body composition standpoint, you do want to keep fat minimal when you are pushing up food. So yeah, it does get to that tricky point of like, how do you push up food without feeling overly full and force feeding, because that's not ideal either. you could bring down expenditure, but obviously you don't want to bring that down too low either, because that can affect hunger, as we know. Again, we've talked about this nutrition podcast. And also, again, from a general health perspective, you want to be fairly active on a day-to-day basis as well. So, yeah, welcome to the world of bodybuilding, where you're just walking this constantly tricky line. Again, anyone that's Gen Pop listening to this, please don't think this should be your life or this is how it should be. This is, I guess,
you idiots trying to maximize.
Yeah, this is it is a competitive sport, really. I know people like to argue about what it can be classed as, but it is really a competitive sport. So it takes those further extremes to achieve what you want to achieve, and that's important to understand. Yeah, so let's take it back a little bit. So a couple of things you mentioned there. So interestingly, and again, I want to know your thoughts on this. Again, this is how we're keeping it casual. You said there, in terms of your physique filling out, because you're doing more neurological and less pumpy style work, and you need to rely on the food a bit more to fill out. But would you say that doing pumpy style work is the best way to fill out? Because, and again, I'm asking you from a personal experience, because obviously what can occur when you're doing pump style workouts is you actually just burn through more glycogen.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
But again, I want to sort of strip back this quote unquote science here and actually ask you from a personal point of view of how you find you fill out the best.
I not over the top pump stuff, because then I think you almost get that sort of overcompensation effect that, after then the pump sort of diminishes. Then obviously, as you said, you burn through so much glycogen that if you aren't really replenishing it, then you probably end up getting even more flat and stringy. So I think, I think that's probably the way I'd say it. Overdoing the pumpy work probably, causes you to overcompensate in the wrong direction. I think, even from just sort of an inflammation point of view, I think that there can be some sort of positive effect to sort of a bit more sort of pump or metabolic work. I know a lot of people back when the arm day was kind of doing the rounds as a trend again. That's something that a lot of people said. They said, well, I'm not even sure if the arm day is actually making significant gains to my arms and the higher volumes doing bits, or if it's just more so that my arms seem so much more inflamed than usual that they seem bigger. So it is almost just, but again, we are on the topic of filling out as opposed to strictly building muscle. So I think that is actually a valid one to throw in, almost just sort of the inflammation side of things. Again, I wouldn't go overboard, but for example, I feel like something which would allow me to just put a little more blood in there, like maybe, something like more of like, I don't know, a 10 rep set, as opposed to, we've played around recently with a lot of sort of, 3s and 4s and stuff. I think something, a little more in between would definitely sort of help me fill out a little better, especially combined with a little more food. My food towards the end of lockdown was like decently low for me, I guess. I think I finished up on, again, I was pretty lean in fairness, but I was around the sort of 2.7K mark with calories. So combined with a little bit of food, I guess on 2.7, even with pump work, when you're pretty lean, you're probably not going to get the best of pumps anyway. And you're probably not going to get particularly full. So yeah, it's a bit of an in-between one. But what I have noticed is, combined with that sort of food increase, the sort of more, heavy training has actually still been doing bits to fill me out. Particularly my legs. My legs have been doing jumps recently. Jesus. Heavy hacks and squats have just been blowing up my legs. And I think that's well. I'm definitely a firm believer in particularly the legs and back just being something which is really only built off real heavy weight. So I think I'm probably just going to roll with for the foreseeable sort of that hard and heavy old school approach, particularly for sort of back and legs.
Yeah. See, again, I know for me, fine well, what fills me out the best is the heavy duty work. The lower rep heavy work fills me out absolutely, definitely the best. Not the pumpy stuff. It's definitely obviously I can still get a very good pump on, but again, that's and that's just that short term. When the pump goes, when the pump fades, it's not going to do anything in terms of actually filling me out. So I know in terms of just for any body parts, not just back, not but legs, even just something like arms, even arms. heavy work fills me out very, very nicely. But I also don't get particularly flat really ever unless I really get the carries low and for a long period of time combined with cardio. I never really get that flat anyway. So that's never something I have to worry about too much for me. Whereas I know, again, for you, opposite, you've got to make sure you never get too flat, because you probably do, in fact, definitely do run a much higher risk of losing muscle compared to someone like me as well. Fortunately, I am reasonably blessed in that department of being able to gain muscle. Again, like you said, right now, although there is a bit of a rebound effect, even when carries on that high, even when I'm not trying to push up, I'm probably going to gain muscle anyway, because it's just, I'm blessed in that department.
Even through lockdown, you did bits though, because I mean, what we'll move on to in a minute is probably more analyzing physique, because I'll move on nicely to sort of our training and how we structured that. But I was saying when me and Charlie were having a look at you yesterday, like, compared to when you competed back in October, your lats have done bits, your chest has done bits. So kind of your weaker areas, so to speak. Please don't. Can you hear that siren?
Yeah, I can actually, but it's fine.
Damn it. Yeah, sorry about that. City centre vibes as usual. But yeah, no, I mean, even through lockdown, you managed to gain like a decent amount of muscle, and you're probably looking, the best we've seen you, to be fair, in terms of bringing up those slightly lagging areas.
I would agree. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's what I do like about bodybuilding anyway. The subjectivity. It's arguably its downfall in some respects, but I think that's also sort of where it really sort of stands out as a sport, because anything that could be perceived as a negative can also be a positive in that regard. Because as you said, someone like me, maybe finds it very, very hard to build muscle, especially with such a tiny frame like mine. But at the same time, we you mentioned that funny quote the other day when I was posing. You said, "I've never seen someone with such a small waist that doesn't have like such doesn't have shredded abs." And similar kind of thing. Even though my tiny structure does make it a real nightmare to try and push up and gain some decent tissue, it also means I know when I dial in, I'll bring some like ridiculous proportions.
Proportions will be crazy, yeah.
Whereas for you, it always takes you a bit of time to really get grainy lean.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that especially when we sort of filled you out for the show and stuff, you pop and are big. Especially for a natural guy, you carry a lot of size. So yeah, that's kind of what I do really like about bodybuilding, the subjectivity and being able to really sort of make things individualized according to all those sort of little details that are unique to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I guess that sort of brings things on to sort of the physiques and stuff, and I've sort of already sort of touched on what I'm thinking of yours, and your lats are certainly looking a lot better, your chest's looking better. Kind of the main points which we sort of felt that you needed to bring up. So how do you think you're looking? Because I reckon still arms are looking like hella beefy. Your arms are just something else, honestly. Shoulders are pretty solid. Chest is now looking pretty solid. I reckon for you, maybe a little more back width, especially being a taller individual, and a bit more leg.
Mm-hmm. I agree pretty much. Things have definitely come up. Especially, I would say again, I've seen those photos yesterday, that the top line, so across the chest, across the shoulders, has come up really significantly. Like, very, very happy where that's come up. But obviously, my front shots and my back shots are my weakest shots. Probably my back shots are definitely the weakest, front second weakest, but front shots especially. I haven't actually seen from the back because we didn't get videos of me yesterday, but from the front, it has come up significantly. And again, with now me being in a really, really sweet spot in terms of leanness, but I haven't dragged it out for so long or taken an approach where I've been pushing so hard that I've got flat either. It's really allowed for a bit more, not complete, but a bit more pop to my actual physique. So it's, again, you can see those areas really come to life a bit more. Again, it's not like I'm super, super full. Or super, super flat. I'm just somewhere nicely in the middle. And again, right now, that's perfect for me. But what's cool is if you actually think about it, time spent in the gym, and this is absolutely true. Time spent in the gym since my show is 6 weeks. That's all I've done. That's the only time I've spent in the gym is 6 weeks, and yet things have come up quite a bit from show day, which is obviously awesome. So right now, I would say because I've got so long till next compete, my physique's right where it needs to be. And the training approach that we're taking is very, very reflective of that as well, because everything's pretty even now. Obviously, at some point, I probably will need to put in a back focused meso, just again, like you say, bring up the back width, especially a bit more, because that is my absolute main weak point. In fact, obviously, like I said before, the back shots are the weakest point, and the front shots are the second weakest point. But the reason why the front shots are particularly weaker is because the width of my back from the front isn't quite where it needs to be. So yeah, that's where the focus needs to be. Legs are actually in a decent place right now. I'm actually very, very happy where the legs are at.
Yeah, your legs aren't bad by any means. It is almost just for anyone listening. Ben's like 6'2" and I'm 6 foot tall. So even though our legs are probably good for sort of the average person, when we say our legs need to be brought up, it is more so just the fact that for our taller frame, especially next to other people on stage, we still run the risk of looking a little lankier just due to sort of being tall. So
don't know what just happened there, but my just closed down the app there for some reason. That's weird. Yeah, but I agree. Legs are in a decent place, but obviously being told they still need to come up somewhat. But again, not really worried about that because plenty of time, plenty of time. And again, the short amount of time which I've managed to bring things up in the first place is pretty crazy, to be fair. And again, this isn't a spot where, again, I'm not even trying to push food up. I'm not even trying to push for maximal muscle gain. So, again, it just makes me realize how when I do, actually start to push up, like it's just gonna be mental. I'm not even far off all-time strength now, and I'm like 6 to 7-ish kilograms off peak body weight.
Nuts.
And again, we're 2 weeks back in the gym now. We just yesterday completed our second microcycle of being back in the gym. So give me another 2 weeks, and I think I'll be at all-time strength. And chance by then, body weight will probably only be lower. So right now I'm around I fluctuate anywhere between about 98.5 to 99.5 kilograms on any given day. By then, if I had to predict, I might be around 97 to 98, somewhere by that around. Like that's how slow the weight loss is, but that's roughly where I guess I would be. But at the same time, I think I'll be there with all-time strength. So it just makes me realize all-time strength, low body weight. When I push back up, it's going to be nuts. It's going to be absolutely nuts. Yeah. So I'm, in that sense, I'm very happy with things right. And again, like just bringing it back a little bit on the nutrition front, like it's working for me as well because hunger is like absolutely fine. Like I'm never ever hungry. Like, well, the appropriate amount of hungry, of course. So I can eat my meal and I'm satisfied. I'm good. And energy is also in a very good spot. The exception of yesterday, I felt a little bit low energy, but I think that was also partly due to the fact that I had less sleep on the Sunday night, which had a knock-on effect onto the Monday morning. I think that was partly due to it because I feel great again today. So on the whole, like I say, things are just in a very, very good place. And like I said, it's just keep going the way I am because every single, if you made a checklist of things you would want to achieve, body composition, performance, hunger, the look, etc., I'll be ticking all those boxes. So right now things are perfect.
Yeah, good stuff. I think that sort of sums up your situation pretty well. And I think again I completely agree with what you said with the legs in sort of regards that we don't really have to worry about that just because the time sort of aspect will take care of that with sort of the rate that they're progressing at. I feel very much the same about mine. Even though they certainly need to be bigger again, especially for us taller guys. the way that they are just coming along. It's almost, as long as we keep, doing what we're doing and getting stronger and, putting up new numbers on the hack every week and etc. I don't think we particularly have to worry about, certainly nothing like a leg focused meso or anything. So
no.
Yeah. Even though they need to come up, it's not like a matter of urgency for either of us for sure. I think the main area where we differ is sort of the back and arms department. I think that's where we probably run a bit quite opposite. Admittedly, I've done a lot of work kind of previously on back width, because that was previously like a huge lagging area for me. Again, I think I'm certainly one of those, narrower individuals with like a very sort of small structure, even just sort of, skeletal. Just very, very small build, very narrow. And, especially when I used to pose next to Ben or Charlie, I just used to get like absolutely dwarfed from just sort of a general sort of frame and mass perspective. And sort of posing next to both of you yesterday, I was actually pleasantly surprised with kind of how the width is looking. Certainly needs to come up, but I almost tempted to say kind of the same with the legs. I know as long as, I keep adding weight to the chins and the D handle pull downs, it's almost just sort of a time perspective, sort of a time thing. And I know that as long as that keeps getting ticked off, then I don't need to worry about like a back focused meso or anything. What does need to come up, but I think also probably, proportionately, I guess you could say, to the width, is my back thickness. I think that's probably where I am lacking a little more, especially kind of across the upper back. I think my traps and rear delts definitely need to come up a little bit. I think both you and Charlie have me considerably there. So that's probably one area where our program differs a little bit, and we'll kind of get onto that in a minute. But yeah, my sort of back thickness needs to come up a little more, I guess decently proportionally to the width, but I know the width is coming fine. My top line definitely needs to improve. Always something that I've struggled with, to be fair. Particularly evident in our front shots. My top line next to yours was kind of appalling. I've always noticed that I have like really, really bony collarbones. Like I don't know if my upper chest just inserts like dead low, but I've always really found it hard to sort of cover my collarbones. But yeah, again, so we'll sort of be reflected in our programming with a lot of sort of
the current training is very much set up to improve that top line right now. So there's a lot of higher incline style pressing throughout this current mesocycle. So to be fair, again, as long as we just keep going the way we are, that will come up. We just needs time. That's it. It will come up.
Yeah. Again, that one isn't like oh no, what am I going to do? That one is more so just a time thing. But then the one on me, which is the real, oh no, what am I going to do, is the arms. Jesus. when posing next to Ben yesterday, I mean, in fairness, I guess it's worth saying that, again, Ben's arms are probably, a real strong point. So, I mean, that probably works kind of, multifactorially. In a way, it's kind of safe to say that, next to the average person posing, maybe my arms don't look quite so appalling.
Yeah, like next to Charlie, your arms on. So that, in fact, you probably have better peaks than Charlie. So actually that helps. But yeah,
especially in my back double. My arms look really good for some reason, but then my front double a little less so, and then in my side chest, just shite.
Yeah.
So yeah, my arms definitely need to come up. They've done bits recently. Like Charlie really did used to have me on the side chest particularly, so it's nice to see that I've kind of been catching up there. But yeah, the arms, especially next to someone like Ben, and again, even though it could be said that next to someone whose arms are less gifted, might look okay, but with that being said, on stage might well come up against someone like Ben. So the arms definitely need to improve. And again, reflected in my programming, the way I sort of tag them on. And the way that I'll probably run it is, in the same way that Ben said that you might need to do like a back focus meso at some point. At some point, we'll probably continue, because Ben and I actually train together at the moment, because most of what we do is, kind of works for both of us. But then at some point we probably will sort of split off, and he'll probably do sort of back focused work, and I'll do sort of more arm focused work. The arm focused meso that I ran sort of maybe July to September kind of time last year did do bits for my arms and shoulders. So at some point I'll probably do that again. The main thing is I need to stop being a baby with my food. I feel like if I finally hit like the 90 kilo mark, then hopefully I won't look that bad as a 6 foot.
And where's body weight at now?
Currently it's 78, which for 6 foot is kind of pitiful.
Yeah, yes, it is.
So I feel like part of it is just I need to stop being a baby and just push up. And that should probably take care of a lot of things. And I'm hoping to get there maybe around sort of September time now. Sort of September, October would be nice to hit a pretty high body weight, do a little tidy up, and then sort of another push forward before hopefully a prep next year. So what probably will happen is we'll probably just stick on sort of the upper lower split that we're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe up for the next few months after like a little tidy up, probably go our separate ways and focus on our weak points for a bit. But I guess that kind of runs things through nicely into how we are actually setting up our training, which I guess a fundamental of is sort of the split. So we found this one to work very well for us. We always kind of seem to come back to it, you know, whenever the goal is just all out mass for us. This one just seems to work really well in regards to sort of a strength and hypertrophy point of view. So we roll with a very, very basic upper, off, lower, off, repeat split. Each of those sessions has 2 rotations. So we've got an upper A and B and a lower A and B, which obviously just, you know, rotate through the microcycle. And yeah, we feel like that's an appropriate, you know, frequency and distribution of volume for us to kind of reap benefits off. It brings up an interesting point about sort of actually, you know, potentially lower volume as you get more advanced, because a lot of people probably would look at someone like Ben and say, you know, how is someone that big running on something like an upper lower split and able to progress? And I'd say that
one set.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the stuff we do is just one set, particularly at the moment. But you know, even as we go on, a lot of it probably still will remain just one set. Very, very kind of Dorian Yates-esque training at the moment, with just the one sort of all-out set to failure. The main thing, I guess, differing being the training split, really. But yeah, no, we found it to work exceptionally well. Sort of, you know, 3 to 4 rest days a week. Some people would think like that's crazy. There's no way, you know, there's no way that's enough. You're only training 3 to 4 days a week. There's no way that's enough. One set per exercise, no way. We say if you train as hard as us and you get, you know, really efficient at making that training all out quality, you know, with real accurate execution, sets taken all the way there to failure, and then most importantly, being able to progress your logbook consistently, that will 100% be enough. Yeah. You know, if those numbers are getting driven up over time, alongside your body weight, you know, it's really the basics. You are going to gain muscle doing that. The nuance then comes with sort of the distribution of volume and frequency, the exercise selection, and sort of the mechanical positions that we favor for said muscles. That's where the nuance comes in, and which we'll get into in a sec. But the real basics remains, you know, progressing the logbook, training bloody hard, and sort of upping our body weight. But yeah, we find that sort of setup works exceptionally well for us. It's the setup that Ben and I used when we first met. Actually, didn't get to run it too long, but worked tremendously well.
Even that short amount of time, it was
we always end up coming back to it. It just works well for us.
Yeah, but the absolute key word there is for us.
Yeah.
Now it could work for you. Can't say. There's no way I can know right now, but because I don't even know who I might be talking to right now in terms of being, you know, who's watching. But for us, it works phenomenally well. It really does. But again, you could say it partly works well for us because we have really learned that skill of being able to take it there, not with shitty form or anything like that. Take it there with a high level of execution and precision, and really, really drive home that hard training. And you know what? If you saw us in the gym, you would think, first of all, shut the fuck up, you're too loud.
that one's not even debatable.
But truth be told, you know, again, to be able to take it there, sometimes you do have to get nice and loud. You just have to, because you have to get in that head. You just get buried otherwise, and you won't be able to do the set properly. So, yeah. But yeah, the key thing is it works very, very well for us. And like I say, you know, one set currently, it might have to taper up a little bit over time. It probably will. But currently, one set is more than enough to get the job done. And, you know, again, more so for me, but still a little bit for you, Kev, as well. That's one set. But like, for example, you know, first 2 exercises yesterday was a heavy set where it was pretty much 3 reps, but 3 reps that all required a little bit of assistance on my part because I was going for a new heavy weight on. And then the second exercise was only 4 reps plus one assisted rep. So you can see right there that in terms of like rep and overall volume, that's really low, but it's still working. It's still getting the job done. Again, because it's that ability to train hard, that ability to recover. And like you say, it's that driving the logbook numbers up over time. And that's just, it's doing bits. It's absolutely doing bits for us right now. So we're in a very good spot. And again, we're in a very good spot, not just right now, but we're in a good spot to be able to progress from in the future when we do need to change things up a little bit as well. So like I say, things just couldn't be going better right now. Really couldn't.
Yeah, definitely. I think a good point definitely does need to be raised in regard to that for us, because there are people who I coach, for example, who are less advanced than me and do less volume. There are people who are less advanced than me but actually do more volume. So yeah, setup is obviously going to be very, very individual. This is again something which has just worked very well for me and Ben. We obviously do have pretty much identical views in everything that we do training wise. So yeah, works very well for us. So I guess we can start sort of breaking down the sessions now. So upper wise, we always kind of like to start our sessions with some sort of side raise variation. We think that obviously your side delt isn't going to get very much attention sort of from any presses, even sort of your shoulder presses. So considering that it isn't really going to take anything away from your presses, it just makes sense to just kind of get it done first. It's not going to take anything away. So
if anything could add,
no one ever had side delts that are too big and round. So
no. We're trying to get non-natty side delts.
Yeah, pretty much. So our first upper session, our upper A, starts off with a crucifix lateral.
Mine doesn't. Mine starts with a wide raise. His starts with a crucifix lateral. Yeah.
Yeah. Very similar movements though in regards to almost. I mean, the crucifix lateral is almost just a different setup of what is essentially kind of a Y raise movement. But yeah, in terms of kind of side lateral variation, we obviously think that's superior to something like a dumbbell for sure. So yeah, that's kind of the start off of that session. We then move on to a low incline dumbbell press for both of us. I think the dumbbells, obviously we favor the lower incline just because, or more so for the sake of loading. We're not going to have it flat because again, top line is quite important, and being able to have a slight bias towards the upper chest is ideal in getting a little more shoulder ticked off. But we will obviously mention that we are doing like much higher incline work as well. So I think for sort of the low incline dumbbell press is almost just sort of our big loaded heavy chest movement. Mm-hmm. At the moment, the side raise is on 2 sets. I think that's pretty much the only thing that we're doing 2 sets with at the moment, and just sort of the 1 set of dumbbell press. Over time, that one will probably get a top and back off approach, but for now, that's just the 1 set. Maybe I'll kind of go through this one, then you can do the lower session maybe, and we'll just kind of take it backwards and forwards.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So then we'll move on to the high incline Smith press. Again, obviously high incline, kind of trying to bias that upper line, that top line, I should say. Smith press, because obviously we've now done dumbbells. We want something with a bit more stability. So the Smith's very nice for that. Don't think there's much else to say there. A bit more sort of much higher incline work, biasing the delts and still kind of ticking off that top line with more stability. That's kind of the main thing. The other upper session is pretty much the opposite in those first 2 movements, where we've got a high incline dumbbell press for pretty much sort of the same reasons, just a heavy loading shoulder movement, and then a mid incline Smith press, again a little higher on the incline to help kind of bias that top line, and then still the Smith sort of more so for the stability side of things. On the first upper session, I then move on to a close grip bench press. This is where we slightly differ, because obviously my arms are shite. So close grip bench press for me, Ben rolls with a pec deck then for a bit more direct chest work. And then our pull setup is then on that day, we do a neutral grip chin, obviously something which allows our elbow path to be quite close to the body and bias the lats nicely. I'm tempted to say that the neutral grip chin is one of the best lat builders of all time. So yeah, I very much like that. At Gold Star, we don't have a great deal of back kit, so it is almost just sort of the hard and heavy basics for our back training for the most part. Not really too many machines and stuff, which are nice for back at Gold Star, or Fitness Fraternity as it's now called. Um, terrible name, sorry, Jack. But yeah, so we start off with a neutral grip chin for that reason. We then roll the chest supported T-bar row, something which puts us in a really good position, sort of by a scapular retraction with a decently nice higher line of pull, so something more so for that sort of upper back thickness. We roll with our RDL on the next leg day, which is why we don't really have any sort of, lower backloading on this upper day. Wait, no, it's not. No, it's not. Wrong leg day. Yeah, we have the RDL before this, which is why we don't have.
Yeah, we start with a leg day. Day.
And then we then go on to wide grip pull down to finish off the pulling. The reason for that is now we've got some good lat work and sort of back thickness done. So we just finish off with something a little more to tie it together. We could both use a little more lat for sure, but particularly in my case where my lats need to grow, but sort of proportionately to thickness, I certainly don't mind tagging in a bit more sort of teres, trap, rear delt with sort of that wider grip pull down. So that's how we finish off the pulling for that day. And then we just finish off with one set of sort of preacher curl machine, just for a bit of bicep work.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe you want to start with the lower session. I think the one after that is the squat one, isn't it? Yeah.
The one after that is the first lower session is the hack squat variation.
Is it? Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Roll with
that. So we actually start with some, for Kev's sake, and I just do it anyway. We actually start with some arms on that first leg day. Again, just more so to help Kev bring up his arms a little bit more. So we start with a behind the body cable curl.
Wait, hang on. No, it is the other leg day, isn't it? Because we've got hacks tomorrow.
Yeah, but we just finished the microcycle yesterday, so we got the new start, the new.
Yeah, but we just talked about our low incline.
Yeah, but it still makes sense to start with the first leg session.
Yeah, we should have. It's the other leg day, so roll with the other leg day.
Wait, but talk about the first leg session first, because otherwise people are just going to get confused about the order.
No, that is the order though, because we just did our high incline dumbbell press yesterday, and we've got hacks tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's the first session.
No, because we
just finished the microcycle yesterday. We just finished the microcycle yesterday, and we start the new microcycle tomorrow.
Okay, fair enough.
So the first leg session is the hack. So boys and girls, I'm more on it than Kev is, you see. Okay. Yeah, so we start the microcycle with a leg day, and it's the hack leg day. So yeah, we start with a bit of arms, more so for Kev's purpose, but I just do them anyway because why not? Can never have big enough arms. So we start with the behind the body cable curl. One set there, and then switch to a cross cable tricep extension. Again, that's probably one of my favorite movements for the triceps actually. And then we always start our leg days with what you call the McGill Big Three, which is basically a core stability balance activation warm-up style thing. It basically involves what you call a bird dog. Then it goes into a rolling plank, and then it goes into a form of crunch. Again, it's just to help with more core stability and balance and things like that. And then we start our real leg day with the adductors. We do that on both leg days. Reason being is because, again, just the size, especially again on us taller guys, that having bigger adductors can add to your legs visually is a lot actually. And again, you can never have big enough adductors either. So we'll start with the adductor. And again, just one set there for now, but probably will progress that to 2 sets eventually. And then we prioritize a little bit more and go with we
differ on this.
Slightly different on this one. So I still go with the seated hamstring curl. You go the lying hamstring curl. Reason I go with the seated hamstring curl is because it's superior. But you go with the lying because you like to.
I like to rotate.
Yeah, you like to rotate. But I go with the seated because it's just a superior hamstring exercise. But we obviously prioritize the hamstrings first. Partly because I don't know about you, but partly is because I feel just a little bit warmer going into hacks once I've done just something else before it, both sort of physically and mentally.
Hmm.
But yeah, we also prioritize hamstrings because we both quads are decent, but we both need more hamstrings. Absolutely, both need more hamstrings. That
Well,
is,
mine probably are actually one of my better features, but you can certainly never have big enough hamstrings.
yeah,
That's for
I think just
sure.
you just can't, especially in your side shots. But we
Yeah.
both need, more hamstring. Again, trying to get onto what I like to call team droopy,
Yeah.
which is the hamstring droop in the side shot. So yeah, we prioritize the hamstrings first. And then we move on to my absolute favorite exercise, which is the good old hack squat.
Mine as well.
Yeah. So again, so far everything's just one set. Yeah. So we hack squat, and this is a real heavy loading exercise where, again, we're just trying to get as strong as possible on this. We're both trying to head for all-time strength on this now. I think you're at a point of all-time strength on hack squat actually at the minute, aren't you?
Pretty much, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and hopefully
Whereas,
tomorrow with a good get in the zone, probably take it really
yeah,
into new territories.
yeah. So this is where Kev gets particularly loud. But you know what? Again, he needs to. Absolutely needs to. Yeah. So I'm getting close to being back to all-time strength. I mean, if you, I hate to do this, but if you went, pound for pound in terms of where my body weight's at relative to where my strength's at, I guess I'm at all-time strength on that
Mm.
perspective. But so I think sometimes I just like to say bullshit. That's just bullshit. All-time strength is all-time strength, regardless of where body weight's at. So
Yeah.
I'm getting close to being back at all-time strength, but I'm not quite there yet. But again, that's partly because I can lift so much on that now that increasing it is just by a little bit makes the world a difference. So,
Mm.
it's almost like the straw that breaks the camel's back, sort of. That's the point at which I'm at. Like a little bit, just that tiny little bit extra makes it feel that much heavier. So I'm getting there, but just not quite yet. But it will. That's the key thing, especially when I drive body weight back up eventually. That will make a huge difference too. So yeah, one set and hack, one very heavy set, and then we move on to, is the RDL straight after that? It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Hmm.
Same thing. It's a loading exercise. So again, just trying to get strong as possible in the RDL. Again, just trying to move up to auto strength on that as well. Again, right now I'm doing more so paused RDLs because I really want to, again, especially at the bottom of the rep, as I get stronger, ensure that there's no breakdown, especially around the lower back. So, combined with doing all the core work, the RDL, the pause RDLs is just really to help keep execution nailed whilst allowing to get me much stronger. And again, that's working very nicely at the minute. Then after that, again, just one set is again when we slightly differ. You could do a leg press and I'll go to a leg extension. I just don't like the leg press that much. My range isn't massive, and also I get too strong too fast, so it just gets annoying loading up. Plus, we don't, especially throughout lockdown, there was no extension being trained throughout the knee, throughout the quad. So for me, it just makes more sense to put a leg extension in again to train the actual extension function. And like I say, it's just a bit more direct work in the quads, and overall leg still needs to come up. So, do more direct work in the quads is still a good thing for sure. Again, just one set there for each of us, and then finish on a little bit of calves. Even though we should probably do them earlier or first, because again, we're both shy calves. So yeah, again, just for now, just one set in the calves, a nice pause in the stretch position, a nice pause in the contract position.
Hmm.
And really, again, just trying to prioritize control, but still, it's still, just because it's a calf doesn't mean you don't put some loading onto it. So, still nicely loaded. And then that pretty much sums up leg day one, essentially.
Yeah, very much so. Only a couple of additions I'm going to quickly add there is leg press. I definitely feel like I could use a bit more glute in my side shots, particularly. So I don't mind having something which tags on a bit more glute with kind of my additional quad work. For that one, I'm using the pivot leg press at the moment because obviously by that point I'm obviously quite exhausted in the lengthened range, which in sort of our leg pressing movements is where we're weakest. So having a leg press which is a little more top heavy is quite nice. So I roll with the pivot leg press for that one. And then one little note to make on the RDL is obviously we quite like to do our hamstring curls first because obviously our ability to get short will diminish as we do get more fatigued. So isolating the hamstrings again, because no one can really have big enough hamstrings. It kind of makes sense from sort of, the exercise order perspective to sort of do that first. And as Ben said, kind of warms us up nicely for the hack as well. So yeah, that's our first leg day, which actually does come before that upper session. You're right. We could have, wrong order technically. Our next, okay, maybe I'll do the next leg day, because technically that comes session 3. So yeah, I'll do a leg day now. So our other leg day starts off the same bit of arm work again, particularly for myself, tagging on a bit of extra arms because mine are terrible. For that one, I just roll with a dumbbell curl and then a skull crusher.
I actually don't do that though.
Yeah, you normally don't join me for that one. I go dumbbell curl and dumbbell skull crusher, just big kind of loading movements because we're nice and fresh, so it sort of just makes sense to do those at the start of the leg session. Then we sort of start off the same with the adductor for the same reasons mentioned. We then both roll with the seated ham curl this time round. I do like to rotate just because I find it makes things easier to progress. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, I've also played around with things like DC training, which does leave a bit longer time between rotations and has 3 rotations, which I found is a little harder to progress with. But I do kind of like having the 2 rotations kind of maybe around 8 to 10 days apart from when we sort of repeat them, which is quite nice. So we both roll with the seated ham curl on this day. And then we move on to barbell squats, which is an interesting one that we've both thrown back in. We both very much like the movement, which is probably the main reason why it's in at the moment, even though it could be argued to not be sort of the greatest quad builder. But again, I could definitely use a bit more glute, so I don't mind having some sort of squat or press variation, which ties in a bit more glute with quad work. And then this one's very anecdotal, so don't no one take my word for this. But personally, I've found that more hip dominant sort of leg pressing movements tend to do more for my outer sweep, and things which allow me to get into crazy levels of knee flexion tend to do really work wonders for my teardrop. That's just something that I've noticed anecdotally, but I'm just going to bring it up anyway because, so yeah, I found that hack squats seem to, make me real thick around the knee, but then things like, more hip dom leg presses and squats seem to work wonders for my sweep for some reason. So yeah, that's that. We then both go onto the pendulum. Same kind of thought process as the pivot leg press. We're obviously weakest at the bottom of our leg pressing movements. So then, while we've still got something left to give, makes a lot of sense to then do something like a pendulum, which is a little more top heavy. The pendulum that we're running at the moment is incredibly difficult. So we know as we do progress this, our quads are going to reflect that in a few months for sure. And then we finish off with a wee bit more hamstring work. I roll with the standing hamstring curl, Ben rolls with the lying, and then finishing off with a little bit more calves. So yeah, that's the setup for that leg session.
Yeah, leg days are pretty simple, to be fair. Again, the main reason for squats in there is just because we both really enjoy them. Really enjoy them, and again, we do just to add on, we do heel elevated squats. Again, just to really help with the also just to get a bigger range without again something like the lower back caving in. Again, especially as we get stronger, that's going to become more and more important. Right now, we're both doing them completely raw as well. So that means no knee wraps or no belt or anything like that.
I'll probably continue to do them raw.
Yeah, I probably will. I think that eventually I'll get strong enough where I might need to add a belt. But for now, yeah, I'll probably continue to do them raw because that's only going to help. People like to say like, let's do the McGill Big 3 to improve core strength, which it does. But number one, again, the reason why we're doing that is to improve core strength in something like a squat. Well, number one, that's the core strength within motion, which makes a big difference, whereas the McGill Big 3 is a lot more static. So training core strength throughout motion is important, but also if you want to get stronger core strength for a squat, the best way to do that is to squat. So, so the squat's mainly in there though, because we both really enjoy squatting. So the leg days are pretty simple. And then obviously we finished the microcycle with one more upper day, which is the session we did yesterday, which is, so again, starts with a side delt variation, which is the Cybex machine side delt. Raise, I don't know if it has a special name, the machine or not, but
I don't know the model.
You might have seen Dante use it before and stack it with just everything that you could find in the gym. a little hype myself up a little bit. I can full stack that, no problem.
Pretty easily now, I might add. It was kind of scary watching that one yesterday.
Yeah. So yeah, start with again 2 sets there. Again, I guess you could kind of say a top set and a back off set. Not really in the way that you would do it with like a squat or pressing or anything like that, but just slight. It's more so for fatigue standpoint, especially for me, because
account for the performance drop.
Yeah, because I'm so strong and stacking it for the first set, I couldn't then repeat that on a second set, so I just dropped the weight down by 1, and then get maybe around the same rep range, maybe a couple more reps on the second set. But again, so it's not really a top and back off. It's more so just a dropping the weight slightly to be allowed to get the same reps for the second set. And then we move into a high incline dumbbell press. So again, this is more so a bit more shoulder, but still hitting that top line a little bit. Again, this is very much a loading exercise where we're just trying to get as strong as possible. I think, again, for me personally, one of the reasons why that's in is to really allow and facilitate a greater lower incline dumbbell press as well. Because if you get strong in that high incline press, you're going to get strong in that low incline. You're going to get very strong in that low incline dumbbell press. So that's one of the main reasons it's in for me. Again, 1 set there. And then we move on to a mid incline Smith machine press. Again, obviously that's a stable exercise. Don't have to think about that so much. We can just focus on loading again. And I think the mid incline that we have is actually that perfect height to really hit that top line.
Yeah, agree.
It's that perfect middle ground to really hit the top line. So yeah, that's an excellent move. An excellent move that I'm actually really enjoying at the minute. Again, both those exercises are very, very heavy, lower rep. Again, 1 set there, and move on to again another exercise which I really enjoy, which is the dip. Some people like to call the dip the squats for the upper body. I guess so. So again, this is more anecdotal because some people in the biomechanics world would argue that the dip's not a particularly good exercise, but I just noticed when I do dips, when I put dips in, that's when just density comes onto my frame. Like dips make such a difference to the density of my especially my front shots. It's mental. So I think dips are a superior exercise from an anecdotal point of view. Again, this is an exercise where we're definitely going to be loading, but maybe slightly higher rep range now. Maybe 6+ essentially, whereas before it was probably for me anyway under 6 or under 5 reps. The first 2 exercises, this is going to be a little bit heavier and go 6+. So again, 1 set on the dips. Again, for now, that will stay at 1 set, but that might go up because again, in the past, I've done a top and a back off set on dips, and again, that works fantastically well. So, yeah, for now, that will stay as 1 set, and then after that, we do
pull down.
Pull down, yes, we do the modified pull down.
I've already gone to the liberty of labeling this one the Stanners pull down because I don't think it's set up anywhere else.
Yeah, to be fair, so the modified pull down it's a lat dom pull down, but never personally seen anyone else do it this way. If you want to see how we do it, then come to our Instagram and
it's on mine.
Kev put it on his Instagram. At some point I'll put it on my Instagram. So if you want to see how it's performed, come to the Instagram pages. Of course, right now in the editing, I will put the whole Instagram things below on our screen so you can see where to find us. So yeah, go to our Instagrams if you want to see how that lat pull down is done. And then we go to an exercise which I'm not that fond of, but I'll
give it a go. Where we might split off.
Yeah, I might change it out.
You'd need to do like a little more lat work here while I kind of do that. Yeah.
I might change it out, but for now, I'm giving it a go, which is the bent over row. My problem with that is, again, although my grip strength is really, really good, because the bent over row is obviously, again, more so in motion compared like the barbell compared to like say an RDL, it slides around in my hand more, and so it's puts a lot more pressure on my grip. So I'm already getting too strong at the exercise for what my grip can handle. I might put or get some of the loop straps. I don't like normal straps, but I might get some of the loop straps to help with that. But as a whole, I actually don't like the exercise that much, so I might switch that out. and yeah, put in a bit more lat work instead. But again, for now, that's a one set, reasonably heavy. And then we will do one more back movement, which is a seated back row, which is a machine that actually I really like. Again, already haven't added weight to the stack for that, so not ideal. We need to get the gym pin sorted, or the good old screwdriver, just to be able to add more load to the stack, because I'm stacking everything at the minute. And then we'll finish with one bicep exercise. Again, slightly different. This is where you'll do a preacher curl, and I will just do a standard seated curl. I just quite like that movement, prefer it. So, and then that's it. That's the entire microcycle. For now, like I say, everything's at minimal volume, and at least for me, not anytime soon I won't be tapering up. You might at some point, Kev, but again, for me, I can get away with keeping volume absolute minimal at the minute. So, yeah, that's the sessions. That's one.
I do very much like the one set approach, because it really does like teach you to not screw it up at all. Yeah. So it probably will be a bit of time until I do start driving things up, because the thing is, while performance is there, it is almost just sort of a make use of it, because as we've discussed before, we don't see volume as a driver of hypertrophy, particularly when looking at things from a progressive overload point of view. So we certainly don't think that there'd be much to gain from a hypertrophy standpoint by introducing sort of the top and back off approach to many of these movements. So it is almost just sort of reap what we can until our volume requirements sort of increase more so as kind of a result of getting bigger and stronger, as opposed to trying to make it a cause of us getting bigger and stronger. I think that's probably a good way to put it. So that's the kind of setup of our training. Hopefully gives you a good idea behind sort of why we do things in the way that we do, why I might like tag on some arms here and there, because a couple of good things to quickly wrap up on quickly is the bent over row. I like, because I think it is just a good density builder for the back. I think it carries over nicely to other pulls like the RDL, just staying over in that bent over position, arguably with a little more kind of cheat with a wee bit of hip hinge. I never make them too sloppy, but I'm also not of the opinion that they need to be like the strictest things in the world. Probably like your good kind of a Yates row, but again, not to be abused. A lot of people do fall into the habit of making the bent over row real sloppy, which I don't agree with either.
No, here do I.
But again, more so doing it for, again, I think it's good for the erectors in the upper back, and again, do need more density, and it carries over nicely to other pulls. And this is where, again, the individuality comes in, because Ben might switch this out very soon. Arms, quickly touching up on that. Yes, I do think one set at the beginning of the leg day is enough to cause some sort of stimulus. Again, I think if your sets are all out quality, there's no reason why it can't be. And this is, again, where we kind of look at, managing those training variables. Because if I'm training arms every other day, then this is where, volume needs to be very low to accommodate recovery. But then if volume is very low, then those sets need to be all out quality to ensure that we are stimulating something. But I can guarantee you that in a few months, my arms will be improved. So that will be the proof will be in the pudding. But yeah, that's why we do things. Hopefully that's given you a good idea of sort of the individuality behind, a couple of the things that differ in our training, but with pretty similar goals for the most part. Ben and I are probably the few people that sort of can train together and do pretty much everything together. A lot of people really, shouldn't have training partners, I think, because some people's goals just don't match at all, and they almost try to kind of squeeze in their training with each other in a way that just really isn't compatible and conducive to the goal. Mm-hmm. Whereas Ben and I do train together for that reason. Everything that we do fits nicely together. Charlie and I have trained, on and off for periods of time. There are times when things are there lined up nicely for us, but again, things have to be according to the goal, which is why we don't currently train together, because Charlie and I have pretty opposite physiques for the most part. So again, makes sense that our setup is different in that regard. So yeah, that's that. I think that's probably all the updating done. So maybe we just finish off with a couple of just random little bits which I wanted to touch on, because
that makes sense, because I think this has been reasonably long already, to be fair. So yeah, it probably makes sense to start to wrap things up in terms of a bit more the fun parts now, the questions that we always ask our guests that are just hard to answer. So we're going to ask ourselves now.
Yeah, so we obviously have been now a bit notorious for asking our guests their top 3 movies, which has obviously sparked some people asking us what are our favorite movies. So we thought while we're giving you these updates and just us two here on a full length episode, nothing educational, we'll run through that. But we're going to go above and beyond for you. We're going to tell you our top 5.
Well, I'm going to try. It's still a hard question.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start to give Ben some time to think as well. So my favorite movie of all time, partially for the nostalgia, but I do also think now, looking in hindsight and putting yourself in the mind of the audience at the time, I think it's also sort of creative genius. Favorite movie of all time is Star Wars, A New Hope, the original. Again, partially for the nostalgia, I'm quite a nerd, so I do like things like Star Wars and sci-fi bits. But I think A New Hope, again, just sort of putting yourself in the mind of the audience when you watch that movie, you do just see that it is pure genius. So that's probably my favorite movie of all time. Always an enjoyable watch. Mm-hmm. Decent actors with good chemistry, decent script, plot, and kind of the way that the movie's paced and everything. Very very actually quite good on George's part. So yeah, that's probably my favorite of all time. Number 2, this one's just personal favorite. I don't even think it's a very good movie. I just really enjoy it for whatever reason. Point Break, with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. I'm a huge Swayze fan in general, actually. But I just think the movie's a real, just funny. Partially for the cringe, because especially back then, I don't think Keanu was a great actor. So there are some scenes which are almost just funny for the cringe. But I think the storyline's pretty decent. Very, very kind of old classic movie type thing, which I just enjoy watching. I think that one's pretty hilarious. So that one's probably my second favorite of all time. I just enjoy it. I know it's not a great movie by any stretch. Number 3, one which I think is actually a pretty great movie, is Wolf of Wall Street. Uh-huh. I think this will probably be in quite a few people's sort of top whatever movies. I think that one was hilarious, brilliant acting, brilliant story, of course. Can watch that one time and time again when I get sick of it. Number 4, possibly I can't remember if I've changed it since talking to you, because I feel like I had something different for number 4, but maybe not. Kingsman. This one was one that
interesting.
I just really enjoyed when I first watched it. Like, my mind was truly blown, especially because when I watched the trailer, I didn't think it would be that good. And then when I went and watched it with my mates, I was truly blown away. And I got home and I was like, Mum, you have to go watch this movie. It was amazing. Truly brilliant. Something very, very different. Absolutely hilarious. Some of my favorite jokes of all time are in that movie. I can probably quote more of it than I would like to admit. Yeah, just really, really good. And then 5 to wrap up the list, I'm probably going to go with, again, I don't know if I've changed this because I felt like I had something different as my 5th one when we've discussed this previously. But I don't know which order I'd have it in. So either The Dark Knight or The Prestige. Yeah, I'm a big Nolan fan and a big Christian Bale fan.
As he should be.
Yeah, Bale's probably my favorite actor of all time. Actually, I think he's brilliant. But yeah, either The Dark Knight or The Prestige. Obviously, very different movies, but both just amazing in their own regard. Everyone's seen The Dark Knight, so I probably don't need to delve into that one too much. But the Prestige is one I haven't stopped ranting about since I've watched it, and I highly recommend if someone hasn't watched it, then please go watch it. I think I'm tempted to give the place to The Dark Knight just because I can't actually really fault it, whereas
it's definitely better than Prestige.
There's that one bit of Prestige that I think does unfortunately spoil the plot a bit. Again, I don't know if that was almost based on kind of the book and the time era that it was kind of written, but there is a big sort of point to the plot which I'm really not fond of. And if you've watched the movie, you probably know what I mean, because I think everyone has the same complaint. But the way that it was written in regards to sort of the script and the layout of the movie and the way it was directed, I thought was pure genius on Nolan's part. I really love the twists, even though I could see some of them coming, but the last one got me. So if you like more of a sort of mystery style movie, and you like magic and you like having your mind absolutely blown, then you'll love that one.
Yeah. The interesting one there is Kingsman. Kingsman is a fantastic movie, but can I put it top five? I can't. I can't. It is a fantastic, like, it's a movie I truly enjoyed watching. I agree. I also really like number two as well, but I can't. I can't put it in top five. Yeah, this is tough. Now, what I really do like is I like movies with a twist. I love movies with a twist. I like psychological thrillers as well. That's my jam. So top five movies is tough, and I'm going to say it in no particular order because I can't put an order on it. But number one is Shutter Island. Shutter Island is, in my opinion, probably Leonardo DiCaprio's best film. It's unbelievably good. It's unbelievably good. Also has Mark Ruffalo in it as well. Shutter Island is fantastic. Honestly, if you've seen it, my God, it is good. Just watch it. I can't say them more. Just watch it. Excuse me. Number two would probably have to be, again, there's no particular order, probably The Hateful Eight, which is a Quentin Tarantino movie. Again, any of his movies are fantastic, but that's probably my favorite. It's one of the newer ones, but it's probably my favorite. Yeah, it's definitely my favorite, actually. That needs to be watched if you haven't seen it. Number three would, again, I'm a horror fan, so I've got to include at least one horror movie. And so the best horror movie, definitely the best horror movie is The Conjuring 2. That is incredible. Really, 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 really good. Really, really, really good. Very, very good. Again, if you've seen it, you know how good it is. If you haven't, watch it. Yeah, if you're a horror fan, and what's so fucking creepy is at the end in the credits, they play some of the original tapes that are within the movie. Oh my God. It sends shivers down your spine, seriously. Like, but that's the thing, is you want that from a horror movie. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's very, very, very good. And again, it's supposedly based on a true story. Now, whether the actual events are caused by what the movie suggests they are, probably not. But the actual, again, you hear the original tapes, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, I need to just disappear. I can't face life anymore. Because, yeah, it sends the shivers down spine. It's a tough call between The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, because The Dark Knight is brilliant, but and the Joker, and obviously and Heath Ledger is brilliant as the Joker.
I was going to say, I think it has to be just on that alone.
Like, in terms of performance, there's probably never been a better performance ever from anyone.
Yeah, dare I say it? Yeah.
But I really like the Bane character as well. This sounds weird. This does sound weird, but I really like his voice, especially in the cinema. In the cinema, when I first watched it and you first hear his voice, and obviously you got the surround sound and you hear this voice, and you're like, whoa. It sounds weird.
I've heard someone say that they really like the noise of someone talking into a Pringles can, but
it's just weird. It's just that first line. It's just brilliant. And Tom Hardy, again, does a great job.
Yeah, for sure.
Number five. Again, I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm missing something big and obvious.
I think you're probably going to go with Lord of the Rings. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I could go for Twin Towers or Return of the King. I could, but I'm not going to. Okay. I feel like I'm missing something more obvious. And I could easily go with like an Avengers film, because I love the superhero. I love the entire Marvel saga. I love it. Absolutely love it.
I think when we originally have talked about this before, I think Endgame was in your top three.
It probably is. But here's the key thing: is more so Marvel. If we look at it on an individual film level, it is brilliant. But it also, they do rely on the whole saga. So therefore, realistically, can I put an individual movie in?
Fair play.
Maybe not. I'm just trying to think of some. There's quite a few Leo movies that I've told you to watch that you've never seen, and I'm trying to think of some of them now. Obviously, Shutter Island is a key one. What else have I told you? There's Catch Me If You Can is a good
Inception and
film.
Interstellar.
Oh, Inception is a good film
Oh
actually.
wait, Interstellar wasn't with Leo. I'm
No, it
just
wasn't
thinking.
with
I
Leo.
was just thinking on the line of Nolan. Sorry.
Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar.
Yeah.
Interstellar might be in the top five actually. Yeah, I might go.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
go
was thinking
Interstellar.
that because I know you've definitely told me to watch that one, and
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Interstellar.
Okay.
Shout out though, I'm gonna give a shout out to a film that is definitely not my top five, but it's one of those films. The film that I've watched that basically made me go, "What the fuck?" Like I'll never understand the film. I don't think anyone will ever understand the film. It's with Jake Gyllenhaal. It's called Enemy. Um, Still to this day, just the ending. I'm like, what? Like what? What the fuck? I can't make sense of it. You need. It's not. Again, it's not a film that you would ever put in your top five. But I'm giving it a shout out because I want people to go watch it and just try to make sense of it because I don't. I don't get it. I don't think anyone gets it. I even did one of those things after where you go on YouTube and sort of search for the ending explained, and they couldn't even explain it. So yeah, watch it and I'm confused. I don't have any words to describe it because
I like Jake Gyllenhaal, so I probably will watch that one.
yeah,
Definitely.
it is good. It's just like what the fuck. Yeah, so they're probably my top five. Oh,
You thought of something
I've
now.
just remembered another brilliant movie, but with Jake Gyllenhaal in. Oh my god, what's it called? Oh, it's one of the best movies I've ever seen, actually. Oh, I've just remembered that. I'm gonna have to watch that again. It's so good.
But you can't remember.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you. We'll talk about this after the podcast is finished because
Yeah,
I don't
maybe
want
we'll
to.
link if we remember. We'll pop it in the description.
But oh my god, yeah, I've just remembered. Oh my, what is that film? It's I can't remember. It's a brilliant film with Jake Gyllenhaal. It's a psychological thriller. So if you know what I'm talking about, put it in the comments. Um, yeah, I've just literally just remembered that movie. I've watched it once, and it just popped in my head there, and because again, psychological thrillers are my favorite type of movies. They're just ticking over in my mind trying to think about which ones. I've just remembered that one exists. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Jake Gyllenhaal anyway. I'm gonna literally look on my phone after this, but yeah, that's the top five for now.
All right. Yeah, decent list for sure, for sure. And then the final one, just because I was discussing this with someone the other day, and then I realized that we've discussed prior which Infinity Stone we'd have if we had to pick one. But I don't think we've ever actually discussed what superpower we'd have if we could pick like any superpower. So then the last one I'm going to ask you is, what superpower would you have if you could have one, and why?
Well, I mean, I've already got super strength, so not that.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
No, I've always wanted to be able to fly.
That simple.
I think it was just so fun.
Fair.
And for no other purpose, and it'd be so fun. Now I'm going to break. I want to go through a few things here. So, number one would be fly, because I think it would be fun. But I also think it would be cool to do. Is it telekinesis when you move stuff with your hands?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would also be awesome. Now, another popular one is teleportation. But the reason why I've always said I would never pick teleportation, not because it's boring, because it would be pretty cool to teleport anywhere you wanted at any time. It would instantly do it. But the thing people don't realize with teleportation is it's not you that comes out on the other side. It's an exact carbon copy of you. So technically, every time you teleport, you kill yourself. And so I wouldn't pick teleportation based on the fact that it is technically suicide, even though we wouldn't seem it from your point of view, because from your point of view, it would be exact carbon copy, same memories, everything would be exactly the same. Even though it wouldn't seem it, technically it is. And so that's why I wouldn't pick teleportation.
Before, funnily enough.
But yeah, that's flying, because I just think it would be unbelievably fun.
Yeah, fair. That's actually, flying's actually the one thing that mine doesn't encompass, because mine would be time control, which includes time travel. And ironically, one of the reasons why is because I thought that just basically gives you any power that you could want. Because, like, for example, the teleporting thing, I'd argue that it's pretty much just the same, even if it takes a little longer to just freeze time, go wherever you need to go. Because let's be honest, no one can stop you. So you want to go like steal some, federal secrets or something, you could just stop time where you wanted to go. So I'd say that probably encompasses things just as good in regards to sort of the teleporting thing. But actually, that's the one thing that it can't do. You can't actually fly. So yeah, but I think if it came down to like some sort of battle, then obviously time control would definitely win there because you could just stop said person from flying. So,
but once if they somehow managed to already fly and get above you, how are you going to get to them?
With frozen time, there are a multitude of options you could take from that, and not anything that they could really do to stop you from doing that.
Key question though: if you're freezing time, are you still aging?
Well, by time control, you'd be able to choose like what exactly is affected and what isn't affected by time. Because, like, for example, I always think that scene in Doctor Strange where he uneats the apple and stuff, for example.
Yeah,
so
but he always still ages.
Huh?
So that's the question: is can you stop the aging?
Yeah, without a doubt. Because I mean, yeah, because you'd just be able to undo time on yourself.
And so, here's the interesting thing about time control is technically you can't stop all time because no matter what, you still have to experience this moving forward within time. Yeah. So technically, time control is cool, but it doesn't control every aspect of time.
It's still time control, though.
No, because you still
you're just affecting what is and isn't affected.
No, because you still have to move forward in time to be able to do anything.
Yeah, while time's frozen, but that's why I'm saying you're just you're more so than anything. You're almost affecting what is and isn't, controlled by.
Yeah, but so what I'm saying is like technically, so time around you is frozen, but your actual time itself always has to move forward. Otherwise, you'd be frozen yourself.
Yeah. Fair point, and one which most people probably hadn't considered. And then sort of the other reason for time control is just sort of, as mentioned earlier, I just get off on achieving things, and sometimes a big sort of stress that I find is almost just not having enough time in the day to do everything that I want to do, which kind of sometimes drives me nuts with all the stuff that I kind of really feel the need to do to kind of progress to where I want to be. I just think if I could control time, then no problem. I could just learn everything I wanted, just do whatever you want to do. I think time, exactly as you said, is what allows things to be. Any event is just a product of time, essentially. So I think it pretty much does just make you the most powerful sort of being if you have the ability to control that as opposed to pretty much kind of
I'll take it one step further. Right. Have the superpower of being a super genius, and then you could work out how to
work out time travel. I consider that one, yeah, because I thought technically Rick Sanchez it would actually just be the most powerful person in the galaxy because he can just freeze time, can't he?
I mean, it already is.
I can't decide because then there is almost sort of that someone could just like steal one of your gadgets and then you're kind of fucked, aren't you? So part of it, I think, would just be having sort of the time power yourself would arguably potentially would be better than super intelligence, because I guess you could almost just I don't know, I'm gonna guess quite cynical here, but I mean really you could just stop time and go back in time to kill said super genius. So yeah, even though there is always the argument that you can't actually affect the future based on past events if you were to go change them. So yeah, it depends which way you kind of look at that paradox, but let's not get into that.
That is a complete paradox. Technically, though, what happens in that paradox is just a different timeline.
Yeah. To be fair. But yeah, no, I think all in all, I think time travel would be the one to have. So also kind of answering two questions in one, if anyone was therefore wondering what sort of Infinity Stone Ben and I would go for, probably obvious on my part, the Time Stone. Yeah. I just think like Doctor Strange is pretty OP as it is, and I think he's underrated in general, but yeah. Anyway, that's probably a good one to sort of tie up on.
Yeah, it's been a long podcast this way. I honestly think it might be the longest one we've had so far.
Yeah, but hopefully the OGs will kind of come listen to this and enjoy just us two kind of just going off on one. about some fun things and see what we're thinking regarding training and stuff. So yeah, we'll tie it up there because we have been chatting shit for a while now. So hope everyone enjoyed. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled content very soon. We've got some very cool stuff coming. We've got some very cool guests already scheduled to come on. So yeah, stick around. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we will see you in the next one.
Yep, see you in the next one.
Hey everyone, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more.
If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to check out the latest Fitbit here and the latest podcast here. Thanks for watching, guys and girls.